Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence, and a big mahalo for joining me today. We are speaking with a drummer who has an exciting tour that's pausing for a few weeks after their upcoming stop in Honolulu tonight at Pipeline Cafe. That before revving up again on another cross-country swing through arenas on a tour that'll include sharing the stage with Breaking Benjamin, Nickelback, Sick Puppies, and others. He'll also get to do a VH1 Best Cruise Ever, where his band will join Three Doors Down, Lifehouse, and others for a cruise that we're going to hear about today. Plus, I'm anxious to know what it's like getting a new original song on the soundtrack for Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp. We'll hear about all that and more as we welcome from the band Shinedown, drummer Barry Kerch. Aloha and mahalo, Brother Barry.
Good to be here, thanks.
You're quite welcome, and a pleasure having you here. Thank you for taking a little bit of time for Hawaii Public Radio.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anytime.
And just describing your own, before we get into the Shinedown thing, it's always, when an artist comes to Hawaii, there's almost an obligation to see where you stand in terms of your island experience. What is your background, if you could try to sum it up for me chronologically, any and all experiences you've had with Hawaii?
So far, this is my first time to Hawaii, so we've had 3 days here, and I've spent a little bit of time in Waikiki swimming and sitting on the beach. Other than that, I think it starts tomorrow. We're going to rent one of those little two-wheeled moped things or the three-wheeled things and head up to Hanauma Bay and do some snorkeling around Diamond Head, and then maybe up a little further up the coast and see some more of the less touristy spots and get outside and see some local stuff and some local flavor. But it's been great so far. It kind of reminds me of home, being from Florida, with beaches and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was actually born outside of Miami, and I've always, and then my parents, I grew up outside of Philly, so I never really had any connection to it. Being here in Florida, can you kind of, or being here in Hawaii, can you kind of compare and contrast that with Florida? How different is the atmosphere here?
It's a little different. I mean, you definitely have, I guess, more of a culture here. You know, the locals are very prideful in what they are and what Hawaii is, and you have the Polynesian language and things like that, whereas Florida, it's the same amount of tourists, but it's also a lot of people move there and live there that aren't original Florida natives.
Kind of like here.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, kind of like here, but we don't have that history of the Polynesian thing, which is cool, and it definitely changes your cuisine and things like that, where we have more of the Cuban Spanish influence. We have that cuisine,
right,
which is good as well. You know, it's just two different things. And then you don't have gators here.
No, we don't, thankfully. We have a lot of little lizards, but we do not have the big ones.
Yeah, gators will eat you, and we have those and other deadly creatures. I'm sure you have a few in the water, but it's different that way. You don't have to be as nervous going out in the wilds.
But you have snakes down there too.
Absolutely, water moccasins and diamondbacks and all sorts of other things that'll kill you and eat you.
And you know the deal in Hawaii, we don't have any snakes.
I know, it's crazy. You would think you would, being such a tropical island, but it's a good thing that you don't.
And they have these they have less rats too, because we have the what are the little weasel things? The mongooses. We have mongoose. I guess
Really?
They're not mongooses. We have mongoose here.
Yeah, we don't have those.
Right now. Well, it makes up for not having the... And do you actually run into the alligators down there?
Yeah, absolutely. Before this whole Shinedown thing, I was actually working as a biologist cleaning lakes for the state of Florida, and I'd see gators and water moccasins on a daily basis and all sorts of strange creatures. I actually wrestled a couple small ones when I was a younger teenager and things like that. It's just kind of part of growing up in Florida. You definitely run across them. They're everywhere.
You've wrestled with an alligator?
Yeah, it was a very small one.
How big?
It was like a 2-3 footer. I mean,
really small.
Tiny one, but it'd still take a finger or two.
And was Steve Irwin a cat that you had some sort of admiration for?
No, I thought he was crazy because I wouldn't go bigger than a 2 or 3 footer by any means, and I'm not going to play with snakes on that level. I'm not a fan of catching rattlers because I'm too sketchy and I'm probably not quick enough for him. So yeah, I'll stay away. I'll give him their personal space. He was way too much into it.
And you mentioned that while you're here, you plan on doing some snorkeling. Are you a big snorkeling guy?
Absolutely. I grew up doing that in Panama City. We didn't have the reefs like you have here. That's further in South Florida, Miami, Key West area. Up in Panama City, didn't have that, but still I would snorkel in the bays and things like that. So I look forward. I've never snorkeled an actual reef system, so I'm really looking forward to it.
And being a Florida cat and also being a famous rock star in a band that goes all over the world, have you been to a lot of tropical places?
Not too many, surprisingly enough. Here, Australia are probably the only two places that have that tropical.
No Caribbean?
No Caribbean. No.
As close as you've been.
Well, that cruise we're going to do will probably it's going to get us the Caymans, so that'll be a good time, and I'm definitely going to do some snorkeling there, and I think they have this Jeep adventure, and I'm a big Jeep guy. I own a Jeep, so I plan to go take one of those and go drive around and run over things. Should be a good time.
That's a very, the Grand Caymans, they have that whole part of it called, right? That's where you go on the Grand Caymans.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have that part called Hell.
Yeah, I got to see it. I mean,
you've heard of it, though.
I've heard of it. I got to see it in real.
When I was a little kid, my mom and dad, they used to love going to the Caymans, and they came back with T-shirts, and they would always have different themes on it. 100% devil, they would have on it. You know, I spent my vacation in hell. All these.
Well, I'm in the rock business, so I guess you have to go to hell.
It would be perfect for you with the motif. I'm just thinking.
Absolutely, it'll fit just fine.
And it's supposed to be a really special place. How did you get to be? Have you done more experience with VH1? What led to having a relationship where they put you on that package? Is that just management? Or?
You know, I think we got lucky. I think a lot of it had to do with we have had a pretty good relationship with VH1 for probably the past 5 years, I would say, is when they started. Probably us and them, when we had the Save Me video come out, they played that, and that was our first relationship with VH1. Since then, we've kept it up. For the cruise, I think it was just a good fit. We've done a lot of shows at Three Doors Down in the past. We did like a 9-month tour with them on the first record, so we definitely have a history with those guys. It fits well. Lifehouse being a little bit more pop fits well with us, and it's good. I think everybody's going to get along, and I think they look at that when they're putting that together. And right now we're having a great time with this record, and I think they see that and want to have bands like that on that run. Oh,
you're massively successful with it. So it's more. So they come up with the thing, and it wasn't like was there ever a moment when the management came to you guys and said, hey, do you guys want to do this, or is it just a no-brainer that if it comes up, you're going to take it?
No, they definitely ask you first. They say, is this something you'd be interested in too? Because it is a little sketchy. You're on a cruise boat with your fans, and these are the super fans, because it's not exactly cheap to be on a cruise.
That's right.
So these are the ones that are, hey, I'm bringing my families, and I've seen them already at 10 shows this year, and they're, they really want to hang out and take some of your personal time, which is, what we do. Being in a band, you have to give some of your personal life over to your fans because they're the ones that keep you there. But it does make you a little nervous thinking about the super fans, and sometimes you just need to get away. But it should be a great time, and I look forward to it.
Have you ever done a cruise?
Never mind.
I've never done one either, and I'm a little weird. And you see that one the other day with the giant wave? It killed a couple people on it.
No, and now you have to tell me those things.
I'm doing a public service to music fans around the world. I care about Shinedown. I don't want the gentleman going on the boat without knowing. Yeah, they had this. It was a Greek boat. I'm thinking it was somewhere in Europe. Giant 25, 30 foot, one of those. They have them now. They call them rogue
waves. Yeah.
What a weird world we're living in.
One of those in the Atlantic heading to the Caymans from Tampa. I don't think the rogue waves typically go through there, but I think we have to pass through like the edge of the Bermuda Triangle. So who knows what happens?
Hell of a soundbite if I have that on tape and then the rogue wave.
Yeah.